been your local news stories. Now we turn to Josh in the newsroom for quite an interesting report on the importance of sleep.
Sleep. It is something that the average person will spend a good chunk of their lives doing, but few will truly understand its importance, as it is widely misunderstood. The different stages of sleep and the amount of it recommended have been the focus of many studies in recent years. But what is the true effect of sleep on, let's say, the teenage boy? That is what we're going to try to find out today. Sleep. Over the past few weeks, I've been recording my sleep patterns, how much I sleep, and how it affects my daily activities. I've made a log, I've talked to my friends, and I've seen my test scores, and I'd like to share the results of my study with you. It's a very interesting study, and I'll teach you a little bit, as well as myself, about the importance of sleep. Before I begin to go into the details of my study, I'd like to give you a little bit of background of what sleep really is. So here's John Schiff, Dr. John Schiff, with some info on what sleep really is.
Sleep is a behavioral state that is a natural part of every individual's life. We spend about 1/3 of our lives asleep. Nonetheless, people generally know little about the importance of this essential activity. Sleep is not just something to fill time when a person is inactive. Sleep is a required activity, not an option. Even though the precise functions of sleep remain a mystery, sleep is important for normal motor and cognitive function. We all recognize and feel the need to sleep. After sleeping, we recognize changes that have occurred, as we feel rested and more alert. Sleep actually appears to be required for survival. Rats deprived of sleep will die within 2 to 3 weeks, a time frame similar to death due to starvation.
Who knew sleep was such an important part of our daily lives? I sure didn't. You know, it's really interesting. Once you start thinking about your sleep and how important it is, you start to realize the effects that it really has in your daily lives. Many teens have formed their own misconceptions, if you will, about their own sleep patterns and how the effect that sleep has in their day. But most people don't take the opportunity to take a closer look into how sleep really affects their lives. Teenagers on average require about 9 or more hours of sleep per night to be as alert as possible when awake. However, for my own personal sleep study, I found that I only get an average of 6 hours of sleep per night. Some interesting things that I did notice, however, were that whether or not I get a lot or a little bit of sleep, it was, quote, impossible to wake me up 99% of the time, according to my mother. However, I did also realize that on the days when I got about 7.5 hours of sleep or more, my concentration and focus in school was much higher, especially in the morning, compared to the nights when I get less than ideal amounts of sleep. We are now going to hear from some of my friends and family as they recall how sleep affects me as a person during my daily adventures.
Hi. Okay, so I've known Josh for a long time, and when he wakes up in the morning, he is definitely a different person. He's not the same. He gets really cranky in the morning if he doesn't get a lot of sleep, and I know for a fact he doesn't get a lot of sleep. In fact, he's probably like the one person I know who gets like no sleep, and I can vouch for you that, yes, to answer your question, he does act differently in the morning, and he doesn't get a lot of sleep. So I do think that sleep affects the way you act, and I think it's important to get a lot of sleep. Otherwise, you act like Josh, and you don't want that.
With all the things that Josh is involved in, he doesn't get too much sleep. However, on the rare occasions when he is fortunate enough to catch 7 or 8 hours of sleep, you can see quite a difference. He's happier, he's definitely less sleepy, and he seems to be able to focus more as well. I think that he's even a little less grumpy in the morning. It's really interesting to me that just a few extra hours of sleep can make such an impact on someone's day.
Okay. When you get a normal amount of sleep, you are a good, fun person the next day. But that's not that often. Usually we see you sleeping and we fight to get you up, and then you're grouchy, moaning, yelling, flailing sometimes, leave me alone. We've adopted the wet washcloth to get you up in the morning, tickling the feet, doing whatever it can to get you up, and still you don't seem to care too much. You can sleep through anything and anywhere, and we just find it hard to get you up in the morning.
I think the main lesson that I've learned from this project is that sleep is very valuable, and I don't get enough of it. And even though I am busy and I do a lot of things, it is imperative that I find ways to allow more sleep into my schedule, because there are so many benefits, and it's just a very healthy thing to do. But it'll help me do better in school, and just be a more happy person and a better person throughout life and in the things that I do. So sleep. That's awesome.
Well, that's an easy question. The later you go to bed and the earlier you have to rise, then okay.
What have you noticed about my sleep patterns, like me getting up and that kind of stuff? You talked about like that, me getting the iPhone and that kind of stuff, and not being able to wake up.
Ask
you know what I'm saying? That's not gonna be
Ask the question again.
God, Dad, really, this is not the time.
Just leave your phone. It's not the time.
I'm working on a video.
I don't care.
Answer the question, please.
So am I.
Please answer the question.
What's the question? I need to hear the question.
Question is, what have you noticed that's interesting?
I object! It's a joke.
What, because you're on jury duty?
It's a joke, yeah. Get it? You've had a history of sleep patterns resulting in your inability to wake up on your own with your own alarm clock, with your own whatever age you might require to get up for school. I've never met another person like you in my entire life.
Stop.
I wish you lots and lots of luck in college getting up on your own.
Okay, that's fine. Now, what have you noticed? Just like... Okay, that's fine, I guess. That's fine.
And your father's pretty handsome.